What up, what up, what up? It's your man, DJ K, man, DJ Iron Monkey. We in the building for another Saturday conversation interview. This week on the show, on this episode, we got Juan Wilson. Well, Juan Wilson, Juan the brand, legend, iconoclast, you know, all of the above. The man does big things, great things all around the world.
Brother Jay.
So we finally got him on the show. And, you know, what's going on, Juan? How you doing?
Doing well, man. I really appreciate the invite. You know what I'm saying? I always get the promo, and I'm like even trying to watch your shows once in a while, but I always get interrupted with all my podcasts. I'm like, and then they start getting piled up, and keeping up with episodes is hard. I'm like, I can't binge watch 100 and something episodes of podcasts. I'm like, I said it's not like Netflix. Y'all gonna have to do it in segments. You know how they do, like they're even getting cheaper now, because it used to be like 13, 15. Now they're like 8 episodes. Then they make you wait 18 months before they come on with another season.
Yeah, right. That's no good. That's no good.
Man, they chopping up the work, man.
Oh, yeah,
that's
exactly,
what they got to do.
Because they're giving it to you all one, you know what I'm saying, not multiple weeks. So they're going to make up for those multiple weeks by giving you a year to premiere another series or another season.
Yeah, we're gonna break the show down into some segments for the folks too. So
that would be cool. So
we'll chop up the brick. Oh, yeah, we're fitting to chop up that brick. Make it easier for them to consume, know what I mean? So I know make it easier to move around.
These guys had Slick, too, not too long ago, right? Derek Perry was on there.
Yeah, D. Perry on there. That's my guy from way
another
back.
East Side legend.
Another
East Side legend.
We all grew up together. You know what I'm saying? He's as old as, they're younger than me. Not much. He's like a year younger than me, D. But we all grew up together.
Nah, but you was an upperclassman with my sister and all.
Yeah,
so that's how I knew you.
Yeah, so you and your sister same age, and I said we got to find that news clip. That clip that I don't know if you've seen it with me and her.
Yep.
There's a newspaper clip. We were on the cover of the Providence Journal, and we were
Hope High School.
It's funny because I tell everybody we had the web and intranet and wiki before anybody, because that's what we were designing. We were designing what they call and you know how they have hyperlinks, so it's called Apple at the time, Macintosh, not even Apple. It was Macintosh hyperlinks.
Macintosh.
And they were digital index cards, right? And I was writing on, I think Karama and I were writing on Malcolm X, the autobiography of Malcolm X. So we were creating like these wiki entries into this intranet so that students that came later can go through it like a wiki. But it was only inside the school, so it was like an intranet. And it connected based on hyperlinks. So you click on the link, it goes to the next card. And so we were in the journal. And I think I don't know if Andrea or someone found that thing and it started circulating on Facebook.
It's still out there.
It's
the internet, so it's the internet, so it's like not dead.
5-year feed, 30-year, like what's that when it comes back up? But yeah,
the memories and shit.
Yeah, the memories.
The memories.
Yeah, like 5 years. I'm like, dude, that was 1980. No, that was 80. That was 93 because I seen the year. Yeah, we graduated in 1993.
Yeah, that was my freshman year at the school.
Yeah, I just told how old I am. That's all right.
Hey man, we're all men of a certain age on here. You know what I'm saying?
Hey man,
I think I was the only one that ain't. We all 40, man, 40 plus.
I'm 41. Come on, B. Don't
I said
like
40
that.
plus, man. I said 40 plus.
I don't want to hear it. You're in the 40 club. Doesn't matter.
That's it. It don't matter.
0 or 1.
As soon as you get there, you take your naps. You know what I'm saying? You got to watch your diet. You can't eat like you used to. You know, you eat too many chicken wings, you taking a nap. That's just how that goes. You know what I'm saying?
I don't even know what to look forward to. I think when we were younger, it's like, all right, I can't wait till I'm 13 to be a teenager. I can't wait till I'm 14 to get a summer job. Then it's like, I can't wait till I'm 16 to get a real job and drive. Then 18 is I'm an adult, 21 to drink, 25 to have low insurance. And then after that, I'm like,
but now you're just waiting for now you're just waiting for 65 so you can retire and get that AARP.
Yeah, or some money, because I don't even know if we're going to have Social Security.
40's when you realize that acid reflux is for real. 40's that stage. It's like,
all that stuff you used to eat before. And it's funny because it happens
all that
like
grease.
The funny part, you're 39, right? And then you're 40 at 12:01. All of a sudden, everything you eat changed. I'm like, dude, it ain't even 24 hours yet. It doesn't matter. You just get 40 for 1 minute.
Yo, is that pizza?
Yeah.
Shit.
You gotta dab it first. You're dabbing your pizza because you know better.
Yo, I cussed the girl out for that shit one time. I was like, you taking the grease off your pizza? Fuck is wrong with you? She was like, you'll see. I was like, fuck.
Turn 40.
No, gonna glob a napkin, soaking it up at Saki's. Dabbing, it's like getting it off. It's like, because when you fold it and squeeze it, it's like you try to do it and get the drip.
Hey,
all on your white kicks. Oh, none of my white tee. Oh.
Now I'm always with the plate and napkin like this. I said I learned my lesson with a lot of shirts. Like, but you're always dribbling on yourself.
Biggest thing about 40 though is you just end up partying more at your house. Yeah. You're like, I'll just invite people over. If they show up, they show up. I'm gonna light this grill up anyway though.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna eat anyway.
$30 at home is like $60 in the club.
For sure.
And I'm not getting, and I don't have to dress up. I'm not getting pat down by no security guards. If I get drunk, I could just pass out here. I don't need nobody to take me nowhere. Like the fuck?
He said no designated driver.
40's when you're fitting for convenience.
You got a designated lifter, someone who lifts you from the couch to the bed. If not,
matter of fact, the other night, I told Karama she was out there drinking and she's gonna be mad at me. I'm like, yo, I told my brother, I was like, yo, somebody need to call her a lift because if she blacks out, I'm not lifting her up. He's like, because I'm not doing that. I love her and all, but
you better leave her alone.
So Juan, tell us about J1 the brand and how that came about, man. Like, what was the idea behind it? Like, we remember you from back. I remember you from back Poem Action Wear days.
Yeah, Poem Action Wear days.
Pressing up the mixtapes.
Yep, doing all the graphic design back then. Like I did most of the mixtape covers for most of the local DJs. You know, I don't like calling them the hometown heroes, right? You know what I'm saying? The ones that are from here. Lefty's Lefty's been my DJ for 20 plus years, from shows to all my private events. And sometimes when he brings out his little nostalgia mixtapes, I see my covers. You know what I'm saying? My first little extents with Photoshop and so it's interesting because like I said, and that was one of the few that I actually know Juan Wilson, right? He's like Juan Wilson, like understanding, you know, say like because Juan is my government name and Jay was always my nickname in the neighborhood, you know what I'm saying, and mainly at home. And then I got this alter ego that came about, which was J1. J1 stuff because we had Juan Perry or Jay Perry, who's also from the East Side. And we used to mess with everybody at Nathan Bishop. We both said our name was Juan Pegler, right? So you Juan Pegler, I'm Juan Pegler. So we both had the same name, and people were confused, like, you really got the same name? I use twins, and we laugh. We still do it to this day. And then they call him Jay, and Jay Perry stuck with him for a while. So it ended up fusing as J1. And then come to find out, my dad had the nickname, even though because I'm junior. There's three of us. You know what I'm saying? And come to find out, he had the nickname. But his nickname is Boy Wilson. That stuck with him. But they did call him J1 too in the 70s. So I said, so I'm not unique to it. And two, now there's kids actually named J1. So I'm like, right? You know what I'm saying? They're like, actually J1. And it's funny because they women I went to school with. I said, oh, I just like your name. Or some say, the other girl's like, yeah, they liked you too. I said, yeah, but they ain't my kid. I said
just because it's named after me doesn't mean it's mine.
But yeah, so that and then graduated high school, you know, then deferred college because I just had my son, you know, so it was like, I'm not going to go to school. I thought it was unfair to my wife at the time, well, girl at the time, wife now. I thought it was unfair just to bounce, right? So I stayed here and continued to work. And then I ended up getting a job at Kinko's and started that's how I got access to Adobe. That's how I got access to Macintosh. I was hired to drive, and they found out I had graphic design skills from high school on my resume, but I wasn't hired for that. And that's what I started doing. I started doing design, and that's how I met Paris from Poem. Paris used to come in, and he lining up his J cards and using the cutter and putting the Poem Action Wear. Like, he was doing a lot of stuff manually. So I started printing stuff for him. You know what I'm saying? Putting the logo on the J cards and everything else. And then we started connecting that way. I also met Shay DePina. And Shay is DMI, and that's how I got into promotions. You know what I'm saying? He came in with some gaff-ass flyers, right? I'm like, what the hell is this? So what I would do is just redo client stuff. You know, so I got a pizza place that was in my neighborhood. He had a handwritten, that's like a pet peeve of mine. It says pizza, 2 for $20 or whatever, and it's in handwriting. I'm like, that's some bullshit. So I take it down, go home, now you got a full color menu. Then they hire me. Most time they want to give me food, as you can tell. Come on, whatever you want. And but that's how I started doing design work. And then as I started doing more design, getting more out there, I got an interest in marketing, you know. So then I started doing sponsorship packages, right? So I'm known for, like, how do we supplement, or how do we how do we reduce our costs, right? So Shay and I, when we were promoting, one of the things that always needed was posters, flyers, commercials, you know what I'm saying? Those carnival posters that used to hang up on the pole. And so what we did is like, well, since we got to pay for it, you know what I'm saying? Let's sell that marquee, you know what I'm saying? Let's sell that placement on the poster. Let's sell that, you know what I'm saying, placement on the flyer. And I'm like, yo, that's a good idea. You know what I'm saying? So we built these sponsorship packages, and that's why you would see Home Presents Redman, right? You would see, what was it, Dog Style Records, Dog Pound Record, Doggy Style, whatever, the one that was on Broad Street, where Boo and Kev used to cut. Yeah.
Yeah. I know what you're talking. I can't remember the name.
Yeah, but the dude who owned it did look like a Doberman. He's probably gonna watch this, but he looked like Snoop in that when it turned into a Doberman. But anyways, he had he was one of the promoters. So they started paying to have that placement, right? So we developed packages, right? So what it did is it helped reduce our costs. What they paid for the sponsorship package took care of those marketing materials, right? So it kind of reduced it. Then I found ways to actually put a profit margin on it, right? Like not making it too expensive, but ways where I can sell sponsorships, reduce my costs, and then put that sponsorship money into investing. So I started investing in shows, you know what I'm saying, and then going from there. Eventually we had a split at the original Strand where we did all the hip hop shows. And to this day, I'm going to say something for the record because I know Lad's going to say something. Because we always say we the first to bring Jay-Z here in 1996.
I was at that show.
So Lad goes, nope, we brought him to what was it? The living room, right? And he brought it to the living room. I said, yeah, but I'm not talking about Hawaiian Sophie days. I'm talking about reasonable days, right? So because that was
Hawaiian Sophie.
So he was Hawaiian Sophie, and guess who his DJ was? Chubby Chubb was his DJ back then. They were a whole group, you know what I'm saying? Yep. So Chubb and I talk about that all the time. And Lad says, yeah, you guys weren't the first. Said, you're right, we weren't the first. We was the first to bring him when he was relevant. So
Lad actually came on the show before, so he's a friend of the show.
Just got a little shady over here. Got a little shady.
We're gonna have to bring Bad Lad back on the show.
You're gonna bring him back, see, Bob. Listen, I'm gonna clean it up right now because the reason why I even started promoting is because of BIT. So Lad knows this. You know what I'm saying? Lad knows. I said, Lad, y'all had this is before I did concerts. You know what I'm saying? All that stuff. I remember going to house parties. You know what I'm saying? It's Bold Island Troopers. That was Lad and the whole crew, Boo. You know what I'm saying? And they used to do a players ball, right? And they did a players ball at the temple, and they were dressed with the furs and everything else. And I said they used to do this players ball. So Lad trips. He's like, yeah, because y'all didn't pay me no mind because I was young. You know what I'm saying? From East Side. You know what I'm saying? They're mostly South Side.
They're South Side. Yeah.
But I watched you guys. You know what I'm saying? I watched that whole brotherhood. You know what I'm saying? Like just that whole, and I thought it was cool because I didn't have that on the East Side. You know what I'm saying? We were kind of, even though we were small, we're kind of like, we were based on families. You got Silver, Perry's, you know what I'm saying? All that. Yeah. And so, but I shared this with Lad, and then I can also share with Lad. Lad's one of the first hosts I ever hired when we did sound session. And we did we did the first sound session event outside of Providence, and we did it at the Blackstone. And I bring kids in the hall performed. I had John Hope that performed. It was but this was done at Blackstone, which is now the Met. Right, so it used to be called the Blackstone, and Lad was the host, right? And then Lad started to do his comedy. Then he got picked up as the host for the sound session years later, right? So he started being the host and MC for sound session years later. So we've kind of connected ever since then. And then I watched him with his comedy career, you know what I'm saying, like this. I said, Lad, this is cool. He came and we put him on when I bring Michael Blackson, came with Jelon O'Connor. We bring Michael Blackson to the FET. We bring him to FET, and Lad performed there, opened up. That was funny though, because they were on BRU and Spin tried to take a shot at Michael Blackson. I said, dude. Spin got a little comfortable with cracking and stuff in front of his boys. I said, yeah, but now you going after a vet, a comedian. I said, I'm talking about someone that was funny when he used to come to Joe Vaughn's Comedy Jam. Like people don't like these comedians, JB Smooth, all them used to come to Joe Vaughn's. And people like, you know, say, okay, man, when he came, but he got out, he said something about the hot dog packages in the back of his neck or something. He said something with it. It was because he tried to get out.
I was talking to Spin the other day too. Matter of fact, next time I talk to him, I'm gonna bring that shit up.
Bring that up because he tried to say something about Michael Blackson being like ashy. You know You know what I'm saying? He said something. Look, you talking ashy. I said, oh, and I'm listening. And I'm just putting my head like.
Yeah, when you go up against the pros, man,
He's gonna
they'll fuck you up with the comedy. Like,
indeed, he didn't stop. Like once you started, he's on a roll. You just put him in his lane. Like that's his lane, right? And so they're talking, and he's having a serious interview, and then he's taking shots. He's just like he goes, you know how he is.
And no one spin. He was like, all right, cool. All right, let's keep it moving. All right, cool. Let's keep it moving. And it just kept coming out. I'm gonna talk to him about that.
But that's pretty much it. J1, and then it was back then I think it was J1 Creations because I was doing all the graphic design, and then I started doing branding, working with different brands. And then it was like, and I had to brand myself, right? So it was about self-branding. So I said, all right, this J1 the brand, right? So it's like, that's it. I said, why? Anything I touch. And most people started knowing, like, if my name's associated, oh, he has an investment in it, or he has a stake in it, right? Because and then I stopped doing that. I stopped putting, like, even as recent as my last promoting gig was at Art Bar, right? So I'm like, damn, this is like the promoters go away to sunset and retirement. So you promote Art Bar 25 plus. And I wasn't even interested, to be honest with you. I was interested in, with some investors, buying the club, right? We were looking at buying the club. And I think Donnie Battle mentioned to me that he's not sure if they're selling it or interested. And then Spike's like, I don't want to do Fridays every Friday. I just want first Fridays. You know what I'm saying? It's like, all right, so I'll try it. So I came in and started doing Fridays there, and I was there almost 2 years. You know what I'm saying? 2 years. And but I lost the love for it now. Like I'm there with a backpack in the corner with a laptop doing my homework. So who comes to the club with a backpack? Jay Wanda. Then I'm in the back. I don't know anybody because the crew I come with, they're old. They come out like once a month, right? And the once a month's on the first Fridays. So it's like, oh, come on. And then they like, oh, Juan, I'm sorry I didn't go to your night. I said, that's okay. I got like 100 people I don't know that came. Like it's not about, you know what I'm saying? I don't dance. I don't drink. Like none of that. I'll dance when friends come. But yeah, so I did that. Worked on FET. Y'all remember from Sound Session? Sound Session went to FET. Worked on the branding for FET. Did the marketing up until we did my birthday show with Mos Def. His last show as Mos Def before he became Yasin Bey. And that was the dope show. It was all in red. The whole place was in red.
Oh, I remember that show. I was working at Lot 401 at that, and I was like, damn.
So we celebrated our birthdays. Like there's 3 of us celebrating our birthdays. Mine was the 12th, his was the 10th, and God rest his soul, Nelson. You know what I'm saying? Nelson's birthday. So Nelson DeMora would do it, and he'd run around with his his white bow on. He's swinging it around and taking pictures.
Pinching his ears.
Air Club. But yeah, I brought this giant cake out, right? Because one of the marketing pieces I did for FET was a collector's card. And we had these FET cards, and we had like Janis Joplin, Michael Jackson, Mos Def, and it was these illustration cards. We were trying to make like a trading card, and then it had their brief bio on the back with the logo. And I got to see if I can find some. So I ended up turning that into a cake, and I bring it out because we did a Mos Def one. You know what I'm saying? And it was actually, if you look for the flyer also has that cover. So yeah, so I was doing a lot of stuff with just the branding, marketing, some shows, and then I got out of FET and jumped into nonprofit, and that's where I've been ever since. I left and got into nonprofits when I left FET and worked for OIC with Mike Van Leesten, the late Mike Van Leesten, and who was also chair of the board at the Black Rep. You know, he was first one who invited me to the board at the Black Rep. I was the youngest board member, very militant back then. You know what I'm saying? I said, I want to see Black theater. I want to see Black school, like youth programs, because we had youth programs, and most people don't remember that. So yeah, Black Rep had youth programs and everything. It was a full-fledged repertory company with programming. When we were on the 4th floor on Washington Street.
Right, that's when the Black Rep was the Black Rep, man. Like I feel like when they moved to Westminster Street, this is just my opinion.
No, it's just
they alienated their core base when they moved to Westminster Street.
I totally agree because I wasn't around when they were moving to that building, and that's when I was off the board, but they were in transition. And one of the things I was upset with one of the Black Rep at one time, we had round midnight on the 4th, because it's funny, you turn Don King, Dana Cavallo, and Derek Prosper, you turn their apartment into a repertory theater, because that's what it was. It was 3D productions, and we used to do shows at Babyhead. You know, so we used to do Boom Bat Lounge at Babyhead. People breakdancing getting splinters on the floor. You know what I'm saying? Because it was a heavy metal place. Oh, we lost He ended up hanging up on himself.
I don't know. He probably lost his connection, but he'll be right back, man.
He jump in, but yeah, but I remember doing Route Midnight, and then we did Monk and Bud. So I did all the marketing materials for the Black Rep back then. So the Huey P. Newton, like all the different posters and playbills. So that's why I was on the board, but I also served as handling the marketing and design for all the earlier stuff.
So what sparked the transition? You just lost your want to be like in the clubs every night, going from like a for-profit situation to now like getting into heavy with the nonprofits.
And I'm glad you asked that, Darryl, because one of the things is, no, so I'm still like for-profit because you talk about like my music and what I'm doing for the music, but it's like I want to do something more for the community, right? So when I'm and getting older and my kids are older and it's just like just keeping up with the Joneses, like this is not, I'm good. Like I don't want to be out every night. I don't drink. I don't do any of this stuff. I come out to socialize and see people once in a while, but I just wasn't. Some people say you're the most antisocial promoter I know, right? Even that it started at FET, because when FET would have events, I'm in my office downstairs. You got a whole concert upstairs going on, and I'm downstairs working on next week. Or lining up what we're doing for the next month. And so it's just, I think I lost the passion and the drive when it became more business, the same way I did with design. Graphic design, but then it just wasn't as lucrative anymore because everybody's a designer, even desktop publishers. And then they came out with the PSD files. So
right.
Everyone can go download the pre-made flyer and change it. Like all that stuff didn't exist when I first started. I had to do everything from scratch. The gold effect, the glow effect.
Right.
And so it's just I lost I still use it, right? Because it's a skill set. It's one of those tools that you put in your toolbox, but I only use it for myself, not as a service anymore. And only because it's saturated. Like there's just like DJs. Like there's so many DJs.
So
now.
many DJs, man.
And I used to call MP DJs before because they now to get everything digital, and now everyone has the controllers. And you don't catch it. I said you're not a DJ if you never touch a disc. That's how I feel, right? Like it's like, especially I said even CDs. I said you're still a DJ. You just went from vinyl to CDs. But those dudes that just do stuff on the computer, I said that's not you need a new name, right? A DJ is a disc jockey, right? So. But now they have the controllers. I see, that you're still touching. But I like that Lefty does 45s. He'll do vinyl. Fred still scratches, right? Like I'm nostalgia. Like when I love that part of the culture, I always did.
Yeah.
B-boy hip, to the graffiti artist, to the DJ. And the only part that was commercialized to make money was the MC, right? Like that was the one that turned it into, and I talk about that all the time. Yeah, hip hop's the culture, but rap's the moneymaker, right? Rap's what made it commercial.
For sure.
Right. And I told him nothing else from the culture really, pulled that type of economic, stability and strength. Like not the way rap has, but then they try to get into like magazines, right? Or clothing. They added these as the fifth and, six elements of hip hop. Like they're trying to attach other things to it. But then you got graffiti artists. And I give you that turned into multimillionaires, and that's like Mark Echo. Started graffiti artist, turned it into a clothing line from graphic tees to a media conglomerate. Complex is bananas, right? And so and Complex. So seeing some people do well in those other parts of the cultures, and the same with the DJs. I remember DMC battles.
Oh man, those were the best back in the day. Like
yeah,
as
DJ.
A purist, as a guy who's carried records.
Exactly.
Like that was the way you wanted to be. Like, but now it's like you got these guys that making millions and millions of dollars, and they're not even spinning hip hop.
Nah,
it's like you kind of got to appreciate the DJ culture for where it has gone.
And we talk all the time. Lefty and I talk about it all the time. And you still have to evolve, right? So I'm not the person who's that nostalgic where I'm stuck there, right? So I understand we got to evolve, and I understand generations have generational differences. Like even with some of the music, listening to it, right? So I'm like, all right, I'll check out some of this trap. I'll check out this Little and Baby, because we got a million of them now. We only had a few. Right. It's like Little and Baby, Baby Who, Baby Little Who, and I'm like, it's not really for me, but I don't hate on it. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, this is your generation. This is what you guys listen to or whatever. Because when we hate on it, I start feeling like our grandparents, right? Like when we
oh, this shit back, this is terrible. I try to find something to like.
Pull your pants up. You know what I'm saying? Pull your pants up and all this stuff. Oh, you got skinny jeans with them. Man, you ain't gonna have no kids wearing those tight jeans. And then we went from jeans that we couldn't pick up, right? So, but it's just, like I said, it's not my preference, you know what I'm saying? Because it's not our generation, but I'm just not one to, if I don't condone it, I'm not also going to condemn it, right? So it's like, it's just, I'm just going to stay as neutral about it as possible, because there's some stuff I like, and I work in the industry, right? So I work
Right.
with a producer who still hasn't touched too much of the trap yet. We're working on some artists, but it is, I said, it's a business, right? And that's in nonprofit. Right now I'm imbalanced. I'm doing a lot of nonprofit, then doing some of my music stuff, and my partners are not too happy. You know what I'm saying? My parents like, you need to focus on this. But I'm trying to find that balance, because I love doing things with youth. I like being proactive. And that's kind of what drew me to the nonprofit. How can I take what I've learned and put it in this world? And I don't even believe in nonprofit, right? I believe it's a tax exempt company. Like that's the only difference. Otherwise,
that's the only difference.
It needs to be self-sustaining. You know what I'm saying? All that stuff. And I don't like the fact that nonprofits working in it in the past 5 years, they're so dependent on grants, right? So I'm like, they're like 80-20 grant dependent. I'm like, y'all need to invest, like businesses, social enterprise, like you. And that's kind of where I'm at with it. Like, what I do doesn't mean you can't do it in the sector to sustain your programming.
Right. And I mean, that's where I'm at too. Like I came up in a nonprofit. I'm a City Year alum.
Yep.
And you know, I've had my studios and I DJ, and now we're doing a lot of this like media stuff, which has kind of been my transition. But I mean, the nonprofit has been like, mine's been dormant. I started a nonprofit like 5 years ago, and then just I haven't figured out what I want to do with it. So it's interesting to see guys like yourself that have made the transition, and you know, looking at you as like a guideline for like, okay, this is the good way to do what I'm trying to do.
Exactly, because when you were probably on it, you just looked at it as the more traditional nonprofit, because we talk about your board of directors. You know what I'm saying? They was like, you can't have a profit at the end of the year. I'm like, who cares?
Yeah, you got to use your whole budget.
Exactly. I'm like, who cares if you pay taxes? I'm being honest, because that's the only thing. If you're paying taxes, that means you're making money, right? And if you're making money, that means you can sustain programs. I don't like the fact that you have nonprofits that have great programs, but because the funder decided to go with the new trend and shift funding, you kill the program, right? So now you're chasing the money, and that becomes, you're not chasing the mission anymore.
Right. You know? Whereas if you just became a nonprofit with some sort of like profitable outlet, then you don't have to worry about if you have, you know, that $1 million of funding coming in, because you're making enough money to fund your program over here.
Exactly. And not use, and then also see grants are privy to admin, right? So now when they issue grants, they don't allow you to use it for admin. I'm like, but then if you can't pay admin, who's going to run the nonprofit, right? So you got to find other means to do that. They want it programmatic only, right? They said that the funding is only for programs. And the reason is a lot of people were also bringing in grants, keeping the program small, but keeping their nonprofit running, keeping their jobs, right? So now you're providing programming for the people you service, but you're making sure that you keep your people hired, right? Or you keep your executive level salary. And so I see that, and I see where it's they pull on your heartstrings because there's a cause and a mission, but it's still a business, right? So when they start running it like a business, then you got some people, they're hard.
Right. You have to file business paperwork to have a nonprofit before you file your 501. So it's like you still have to have that arm to make the money on the backside. And I mean, I'm there now. I just have to, you know, put some things in play. But you know, it's the Marsh Education Collaborative.
Yep, that's cool.
That's so cool,
because indeed that's even with Yes, right? So we talk about Yes PVD.
Let's go ahead and let's get into that, because that was I mean, Yes PVD is huge now.
Like Yes PVD is only not even a year old yet. We've been doing the youth summit for 5 years. It used to be Turn Up RI. We started in 2015. It was with myself, Dr. Tayano Palermo, Angie Ann Kuma, and Kobe Dennis. Right, so the four of us at the time, they were calling us the Dream Team, because I think we had Unified Solutions, which is like an incubator for grassroots programs. We had Turn Up, and then we did the Midnight Basketball League. Before the mayor jumped on board, we were already putting it together before he was voted in. So we kind of all went our separate ways within the past couple of years, and so we're not separate ways. We still talk, but everyone's doing like ties in law school. Kobe was running for mayor at the time. Angie left state offices, and now she's VP over at United Way, and so and ties in law. I think it said ties in law school. So, but I wanted to preserve it, right? So we came and we rebranded it, and we went from Turn Up Our Ride to Yes PVD, which is basically Youth Empowerment Summit. And we also have the Youth Empowerment Society, right? So everybody's like, what's the two? So the Youth Empowerment Society is the core parent, and then one of your programs is the summit, and then we have another program called the 365 Project. So once or twice a year we'll do the summit, but once a month we'll do pop-up educational events, and that's the 365 days a year. You never know when you're going to have a pop-up event from Yes PVD, and we've done 2 pre-COVID. We did our first was focused on civic engagement and civic education, and I was focused on it was suppressed, and it was based on Stacey Abrams' gubernatorial run down in Atlanta in 2018. So they made a documentary, and so I premiered it in Rhode Island. So we were the first Rhode Island, and we did it with a panel of folk on the panel that we screened it and then had a discussion. We had some youth there. Then the youth wanted to do it. So then the youth did their own screening that we worked with the Secretary of State's office, Providence Student Union, Arise, and a few other youth programs. And then in February, Juan Rodriguez, Juan's an ill videographer, but he got into doing gaming, VR gaming. So he has the Winner's Circle. And so I introduced the VR to the summit, you know what I'm saying, trying to get people to utilize VR. So in February, we did a VR tour of a documentary called Driving While Black, and it was focused on the Green Book. And so you were actually immersed inside the documentary by wearing the VR. So you're sitting at the table. Tamir Rice, God rest his soul, who got killed, we're actually at the table talking to his mom, right, in the VR documentary, and she's explaining like what happened from her perspective versus what was reported. And we're in a diner, right? And then they're in this diner that was like the staple for the Green Book, like the staple for when you travel down south, it's in DC. So that's where they actually framed the entire documentary inside this diner. But it's so ill that like you turn around, it's like you're in the space, and then you're in somebody's body. So it's like, so when you turn in the mirror, you see somebody else.
Oh, wow.
So one gentleman was telling a story when he was younger, and you're sitting next to him, and he's telling a story to like a friend and his grandson. And when he's telling the story, you can look in the mirror, and it's him when he was younger. So he's on the bus, you see all the brush going by, and he's talking about how you couldn't go to the bathroom because you didn't know what was safe, you know what I'm saying, to use the bathroom as you travel down, colored only. Right. And so it told this story in VR, and we did it at AS220, I did it at Hope High School, and we had groups of youth, and we had some adults come in. It was a different experience of hearing storytelling, like just being immersed. So that was our last event, and then we were going to do the summit in April, but we obviously got hit with COVID, and that kind of changed direction. So now we're doing it virtually, right? So I spent months trying to identify a software that's not just Zoom or Meets or Skype or WhatsApp, and the software you demo, right? So we ended up demoing that software. And so I demoed it yesterday. I kind of piloted and tested it. It was 45 youth yesterday. They liked it because they're able to bounce around. They're like, can I tell my cousins to come? I said, yeah, if they got internet access, doesn't matter where they're at, right? So now they got family in different states that are going to be at our summit, right? They come in from, like, oh, I told my cousin to come, you know what I'm saying? So now they can be at this table with their friends and cousins, introduce them to their friends where they live now, especially some kids that were military, right. And they've been bouncing around. So I said, yeah, I said, extend the invite. It's not, when we're virtual, we're not restricted geographically, right? I said, this is open to all youth, anyone who wants to learn, engage, and it gives you a chance to meet some people. What are you doing down there? What do you do in school? You know what I'm saying? And that's the whole premise of why I like the software, so that they can actually at least get that engagement and move around and not just be so one-dimensional with some of the, even like now, Zoom has breakout rooms. You know what I'm saying? Right. And it works in a corporate structure. Even the software I'm using for the summit is corporate. That's Fortune 500. It's expensive. You know what I'm saying? But I was able to raise some funds with sponsors to pay for it. And I'm offering it for free. We're going to do a Yes PVD virtual academy, and I'm offering it to youth programs and youth, and even for tutoring. You know what I'm saying? So while they're going through their school year, we can do tutors, we can do job fairs. Everyone's like, wow, when are you going to do speed dating? I'll do speed networking. Right. Speed networking. But yeah, so, and you guys are a part of it, which I appreciate it. Talk about your podcast.
Absolutely. Can't wait.
That was on cue. It was right on cue, right? Look at that. I said, you guys are involved with the summit and talk about your podcast, and then boom, he makes his appearance.
Makes his comeback.
Yeah.
Another one. I said, you know what? I'm like, I'm trying to think, because it's like, I was gonna say there's only 2, but there's like 4 favorite Trinidadians I have. Right.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with the first.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say Daryl because Daryl. I'll go with Daryl,
Mm-hmm.
and then because he's the first. And then Junior.
Okay.
Junior and I were real tight.
All right.
Your sister, but you're up for grabs between you and Matic. So I don't know. we got DJ Iron Monkey and DJ Matic.
Maddox is gonna get you in the club. Like, I'm not getting you in the club. I had to use his name to get in the club one time.
Matic don't get me in the club. I get in the club. I've been promoting before Matic. But Matic will get me into his party because he has a serious party. His little I know he missed this year.
Yeah. Most likely, I'll be working in the inside, so I'll open the back door for you, so you don't even have to worry about none of that.
I said, good. Now I know not to have you work my club when I'm collecting the door.
Hey. Mind you, it's only family. It's only family. It's only family.
Yeah, so I'm the one collecting in the front. And I was the one letting him in. I said, I'm blaming security, and it's him. Security's over here.
Hey, I know. I'm dry snitching on myself.
Iron Monkey's back from taking his shit now, so we can catch him up to speed.
Eating these cherries, man. That's what the cherry bomb is all about, huh?
We were just talking about going into the summit, you know what I'm saying? And I was appreciating you guys being a part of it and then switching to virtual. And it's new. It's a pilot right now, you know what I'm saying? Like this, even with, in theory, how it's supposed to run, we're going to use the remote space as like a general assembly.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So they can have the keynote speakers, that's where they're generally going to say, and then they're going to break out into Google Classrooms, which I'll be sending to you guys. So I'm going to set up a classroom, and then you guys set up the curriculum on how you want to deliver it. But I'm setting up the classroom, and then students are registering already. So once they're registered, I get the email, give them their logins and their Google Classroom code, and then they send to you. But I'm going to send it because you guys can start actually working on it. That's one thing I like about it, because you can start working on it now. And it also has Google Meets built into it now. So now when you're in a Google Classroom, it has its own unique Google Meet. So now you can do this within your classroom with the students.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, because I signed up my daughter and my son last year. I think it was like, November?
Yeah, October type time? We did October. Indigenous Day. Yeah.
So, and I had to sign them up for it because I was like, look, number one, I know you and I know what you're fitting to do. So I know exactly. And then everybody that's attached to it are people that I either went to school with or I work with. So I know them on some kind of personal level. And then on top of it, it's like, these are the kind of things that I've been saying that I want my children to get involved in and have available to them, because even with me and Daryl, I know he took me out on some 4-H things back in the day. For myself, I got caught up with the YMCA and their teen leaders program. So just having these type of programs and these functions available for them are the same things that people are like, well, the school isn't offering it and the government isn't offering it. Well, you know what? We need to offer it to ourselves.
Exactly.
So that's why I wanted to take part of it first with my children, and now I'm glad to be a part of it along with Daryl, my partner.
And I appreciate it. And Daryl was explaining to me about him with his nonprofit and saying, and this is coming from City Year. So having an understanding from that. And then one of the things, like now serving on some committees, they're talking about Black curriculum, right? African American history curriculum that's supposed to be in the schools. They had to push it through legislation, like make it a law to teach it in schools, and they still don't deliver it, right? So it's like, they just, and it's not about being defiant. It's just how do you have teachers who are not culturally relevant teach a different form of history than they were trained to, right? So and then why do we have to wait? Like, I don't have to wait for them to deliver that curriculum in school. I can teach my daughter now. You can teach your children now.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? We got way more than enough information. It's just curating it, right? It's like vetting it and curating it. The same way we had to source it when you're in college, your papers, so that you get the accurate. Like now, I just shared a document on the history of NAACP, right? Because I've been really a strong advocate of the NAACP, and everybody's like, and Jim Vincent. So I'm gonna say this for the record: Jim Vincent is cool, and he's very smart, but it's not about Jim Vincent, right? It's about the organization and what it stands for. And so I'm like, where's the succession plan? Like, after you, who's going to carry this? Then I talked to youth. We want to start a youth chapter. And I was talking to Rich Norris, who's a vice principal at 360 High, and then Matt Buchanan, who I grew up with, who's now the principal at Hope High School. And he said, you know what, we'll start youth chapters, but we got to educate them. They have to have an interest. And even like, some of them don't even know our civil rights, you know what I'm saying? Like, they don't know some of the people in civil rights. And I talked to these youth, I'm like, they know Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. You know what I'm saying? But some of them it's still questionable about the story. And I'm like,
Yeah, they don't know about Stokely Carmichael, another fellow Trinidadian.
So that's kind of where, and when they get older, we learn, right? Because we get an interest, and then we start getting more information. Then we start saying, they didn't tell us this in school, right? So what I try to do, what the premise of YES and the whole youth empowerment, it's not even about K through 12 and post-secondary education. It's about lifetime learning. No matter what setting, what direction, what path you go in, you're always going to learn. We learn from each other, right? So, and It doesn't matter age, race, you know what I'm saying? I say it could be good lessons, bad lessons, but you're always going to learn. But I say I'm trying to get them to seek knowledge and skill up all the time, right? Because I said, so even when you're out of college, you're still going to do what they call professional development, right?
Yeah.
I love micro credentials. Darryl, that's something you should look at too. Like this, the micro credentialing, we don't have to be certified teachers, right? So it's like this, my thing is I want to see that, and then they might correct me. You say, oh, that wasn't the year, J1, or that wasn't the year, Mr. Wilson. It was this year. Oh, thank you. Oh, how do you know? Oh, because I looked into this, and this was actually from this professor who really did some research on it. I love when they do that. You know what I'm saying? So, but it was self-taught, right? And it's venturing and digging in. And that's one of the issues we're having now with distance learning. You know what I'm saying? You have students that don't know independent study. They're used to just being a body inside of a classroom and being spoken to, right? And so being lectured to. You have a few that are rogue. That's what I was. You know what I'm saying? I sat there, I'm like, I thought I was a bad kid. You know what I'm saying? Like just, I know I was a bad kid. There was no think, but I was definitely passionate about, back then it was the Gulf War. I couldn't stand George Bush. My uncle's in the war. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, you're fighting for a country that don't like you. You know what I'm saying? That don't even give you, like, I was, you know what I'm saying? I'm in 9th grade, and I would argue with not really argue, debate with my history teacher at the time, and it was John Zilborg, Mr. Zilborg. And
I don't think I had him at home.
He was gone when you were there, but
yeah.
John, he's my friend on Facebook now, right? He lives in Italy, retired in Italy. He's Italian, and he likes everything I'm doing. Like, it's just cool to see someone who inspired me do what I'm doing, still able to see, you know what I'm saying, the fruits of his labor, because he would teach curriculum that he had to shut the door. Ask your sister, right? Because even with Miss Scheidler, who was our English teacher, she wanted to teach us Shakespeare. I'm like, what's that have to do with anything we know? What do I need to learn about Shakespeare? So I'd argue in class and disrupt Shakespeare, right? So I said, no, I want to learn about Malcolm X. I was that militant kid. So she compromised. So she taught Malcolm X in a Shakespearean way. So reading and thou and
that's a cool compromise.
Any means necessary, like just mixing the two together. Now it made sense to me. And so, and that's why I laugh, because you look at, was it Hamilton? Right?
Yeah.
So, it was kind of that. Like, I just look at all these things. That's kind of what that was. Even with the black rep, Don will never tell you this, but the black rep came from B2L AAC.
Oh yeah.
To learn African American cultures, right?
Yeah,
so
I remember that.
And Don was one of our first poets with his baby dreads, and he was still a student at Brown.
At Rights and Reasons, because I remember him and my sister was in a play at Rights and Reasons. That's when I first met Don back in the day.
Don was going through Africana studies, and you know what I'm saying, but he was able to, like, you know what I'm saying, share it at Hope when we were doing Black Theater. Right. So and I was with Shelley Whedon, Derek Prosper.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Yana
Derek
Bailey,
Prosper,
Dana Cavallo, like there was all of us, and Alonzo Mourning. Oh no, not Alonzo Mourning. Alonzo Jones.
Alonzo Jones,
yeah.
What up, Alonzo? He's a little lighter, still tall, but he's lighter. Alonzo's lighter than him. Alonzo Jones, and now he's still in theater. You know what I'm saying? Because I think he's at Rights and Reasons.
Yeah, he's still at Rights and Reasons. Yeah, I still run across Zoe all the time.
Yeah, so
yeah, because he was another black rep dude that looking at the black rep tree, and we all came from some place, and we all met at the black rep, and then we all branched out to go elsewhere in our walks of life. Where I love being a black rep alum, where I could be like, yo, I know Zoe outside of going to school with him. Yo, we used to work together at the black rep. So
like, even with your dad, like I didn't meet your dad until we were there. Even though you said, I left school when you were in school, so we kind of circled back. But I said, but I was in school with your sister forever, and I said, and I told the first true Trinidadian with accent I met was Junior. You know what I'm saying? It's like Junior. Junior was with the hard accent and his sister on Jenkins Street, and we were a block over from each other, and it was cool, man. But with the education, we're able to do that. You know what I'm saying? We're able to put these micro credentials. That's what I'm looking at. I'm putting together a webinar and a workshop for NAACP. And I'm not waiting for the chapter to do it. Like, I don't need to. You know what I'm saying? I said, you do it, I'm a member. And everyone's like, you're a member? I said, yeah, because everyone's complaining about what's not being done from the outside. I said, become a member, you know what I'm saying? And I'm trying to preserve, because it's people of color, right? So we're talking about all people of color now, even though we have our Black initiative and African-American initiative, because everyone's like, why? I said, because we're the ones dealing with the most right now, right? I said, this is where we have to do the focus. But, and then I said, other people of color, I said, you have what we call that Black culture, right? So I would tell people I don't identify as Black. I just like being a Kanye and disrupt everything. You know what I'm saying? It's like, what do you mean you're not Black? What's that mean? Da, da, da. And then I tell them, I said, no, I said, I'm not Black, but I understand Black culture, and I grew up in Black culture, and Black culture is my life, right? I said, I'm half domestic, half import. And they love when I say that. I said, why? I said, because I got my native side, that Narragansett, and then I have my West Indian side coming from Bermuda, right? So and Cape Verde, right? So there was different types of racism to me when it came from ethnicity and immigration.
See,
it's different.
Even growing up, like it took me a long time to consider myself I still won't even do it. I'm Black. I never really considered myself African American, because growing up, people like, oh, you're not Black if you don't have Kool-Aid in your house. I didn't have that. Like, I had Thurl, I had Seamoss. Like, nowadays, this is the new wave. Like, people are, oh, Seamoss does this. I'm like, yo, y'all motherfuckers used to make fun of. Yeah, y'all used to make fun of me. Like, yo, what's that funny creamy shit in your fridge? Like, yo, that's Seamoss, yo. Yo, that's good for you. Like, nah, I don't want that. You don't got no Sunny Delight. You ain't got no purple stuff. No, we got Morby.
I don't see Kool-Aid anymore either. I said, I don't see that giant thing jumping out the wall anymore, because it's like,
oh man, hey, the Kool-Aid man.
Yeah, that's it. He's like,
I got Sorrel. I got Morby.
No,
what's that?
Man, you should drink that nasty Malta shit though. That shit.
I got Malta.
I don't like that.
Keep your colon clean, B.
Nah, yeah, listen, I eat beans, dog. We don't need that shit. Hey, J1, before we go forward, man, like you mentioned it a couple times, and for the listeners, what is micro-credential?
So micro-credentialing is what they call, how can I put it? Instead of like that, I'll give you a perfect example. So normally when you come out of high school, one of the things that they want you to do is make like one of the most expensive purchases in your life, right? Is deciding on going to college right out the gate. You don't even know what it is to live by yourself yet, right? And you either sign up for a 2-year, which is obsolete now. Associates and bachelor's is pretty much equivalent to a associate's now, right? Because of what we dealt with the economy, and now people who didn't have jobs had bachelors, so they went and got masters, right? So master degrees, so they can move on. So, but that traditional pathway, some students are just not built that way, right? So we always talk about trades, and then we talk about micro-credentials are almost like samplers. Right, it's like that poo-poo platter from the Chinese place. It's like, I'm not buying a whole bunch unless I know what this one tastes like. So you can do micro-credentialing and say, go to work, do micro-credentials to see if you like that field, and then you do it. It's part of like professional development, and then they do what they call credit docking, right? So if you worked in the field, got a micro-credential, now you can go to the school and say, well, I did this, not in theory, I actually did this, right? And I got some professional and certification to prove it. Now you can have that turned into college credits. You know what I'm saying? And guess what? It didn't cost you anything. You know, because you did it with skill set, you did it like with open education to get your credentials, you show your learning outcomes. And so I'm telling, and you found a passion, like you're working in the field, and you know what I'm saying, as you're being professional development, I'm already in the field, right? And if I get the degree, it's only because I want to either scale, you know what I'm saying, like go up in position, or because they're not going to give me a certain pay scale unless I have a minimum of a certain degree. Right?
Now let me ask, because I do this a lot, and because I still like to temp, but I'm a permanent at this one position. But what I do with every temp job that I have is anytime they offer those e-learning classes, I take full advantage of them. Like, I milk the shit out of them, because for me it's like, look, I'm working at this job. They're offering me this seminar on time management, not anger management, but conflict management, certain things like that. Would that fall underneath the micro-credentialing?
Yep. What you can do is it's called like stackable certificates. So if you identify certain learning outcomes, right, it might not just be that one that gets you credit. It might be a cumulative of a few certificates that you brought. And if you match it to an accredited school, right? So say you did a bunch of public speaking, got certification, and everything else, and now you need public speaking in class, right? You go and find an accredited school. It's like, wow, I already know 8 out of the 10 learning outcomes, right? So once you identify it, there's only 2 schools I know that are doing it heavily, which is College Unbound, CU, and then the other one is Roger Williams University. So they're offering it where you come in. So, well, I want to credit doc this. You have it's a course. So you're taking a course, so you get not only the credit from what you're presenting as experience, you also get credit for taking the course. And what College Unbound does, they have a credit docking course. It gives you like 1 or 2 credits, and then you might be trying to credit dock either 3 or 4 credits for a certain class. But once you learn it, now you can identify other skills that match up with other courses and credit dock those, and you can do it. You know what I'm saying? Up for so many, depends on the college.
Yeah.
And so that's where I say micro credentialing. This gives you samplers of.
So as an example, like we're doing this podcast, I could use this podcast to get a degree in broadcasting.
Yep. If
communication.
You want, if you start in communication, like documenting what you've learned here, but you can do that. But let's not talk degree. Let's talk about a credential. Okay. So say you did this and you went to trying to think of some of the programs. It used to be lynda.com, right? So lynda.com used to be all these educational.
Yeah, our job offers that.
Yep. So and now they do. Now companies offer it. They offer you certification. So now if you're doing this, Darryl, it's like, you know what? I want to look at this a little bit more structured. Take a course in lynda.com. It gives you a certification. So now with you producing your own podcast, you also have some professional direction and certification that you've done it. Those two come together. You have the skill and that actual certification from like going step by step. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And then you bring it to communications. Well, I did this. You know what I'm saying? I did this and this, and I'm already doing the work technically.
Yeah.
So another example would be like project management is probably a big one because that's an accreditation.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep. You know, I'm doing these construction projects with my dad. We've done 15 jobs. That's 15 projects. I know what I'm doing over here. Yep. Let me go over here and make this $100,000.
From managing a crew, so that's staff, to managing budgets, materials. You know what I'm saying? Delivery, like this, that whole thing. If you can document it, that's part of your credit docking and then what happens once you document, they tend to want to talk to somebody who's above, like you, like your dad, right?
Supervisor.
Because what they do is they verify, right? They kind of verify, you know what I'm saying, co-sign. Yeah, that's what they do. You know, good or bad, but yes, you've done it. You know what I'm saying? And it's not a referral.
Oh shit!
They just need someone who supervised or has more experience to verify that you did it. So
yeah, because I've like for lynda.com, e-learning. What's the other one? The one Canon Academy is the one that we have now through Canon Canon Solutions. But yeah, through Blue Cross I've done it. Through G-Tech I've done it. Through hospital.
I did them everywhere. I did them at every company. I just never printed the stupid fucking things.
I printed them out. I should have a doctor in somewhere. Shit.
And the reason why I love it, is because that's me. I graduated from high school, and both of you too. We learn on the job.
Exactly.
Right? Or we skill up on the job. So it's like, why don't we get credit for that? Like, it's like, I didn't do it in theory for 4 years and then it's come out, well, now I need to get experience, right? It's like, no, I've been doing it. You know what I'm saying? And what I love about doing it, because then you find your passion, right? Now it's like, I'm vested in this with my time, not just paying for a degree. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I'm going to school now for community development, even though I've done communications and marketing, but I still take those courses, and those courses I bang out the park because I've been doing it. You know what I'm saying? And then I'm learning in nonprofit while I'm learning how to do, you know what I'm saying, community development. So I'm a practitioner as well as a student, and that's easier for me than sitting in the class. Well, this is what you did, and I have a professor. I said, dude, you haven't been in nonprofits in 30 years. They don't even do that anymore. Like, it's like, I'm like, you're teaching me. I'm like,
that was my whole thing too. Is that, look, I'm getting paid to do a job, and on top of it, I'm getting paid to learn something, and I'm getting credentials for it because I've done time management, I've done conflict management, I've done project management, I've done handling meetings, large meetings, small meetings. All those things, especially on top of it, everywhere you go, they make you do sexual harassment and code of conduct.
And the whole diversity and inclusion. I was handling that at the community organization I was with. They put me in charge. But Darryl, like, even with you, even if you didn't print the credentials, you can still work out documentation. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people do a credit doc was, oh, here's my resume. He said, this is what I did. I said, that's not the case. So what they need to show is the professional development that was done. You know what I'm saying? And then you document that before they give you college credit. You know what I'm saying? They want to see. But when you credit doc, you don't have to pay for those classes. Like, you just get the credit and that's it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I got to pay for that class. I'm going to, and you start identifying it. Oh, I did this. So you can start, I'm not,
because
I take what I need and
I see that RISD offers like some continue learning. Like if you want to do photography, you pay like $350 to go to this one class, and then you get credentialed after that. So that's basically the same thing that is on the job, like through Linda and all those other places where, number one, you don't have to pay for it because it's part of the company job, and is for them to know, okay, this guy is taking the incentive on actually learning these things. So when it comes time
they might invest in you.
And they might invest in you because it's like, look, we need somebody to run a meeting. We know that he's done all these things on his own without even being asked. So let's put him to the test.
And then you'll get a lot of companies that will do that because some will pay for your education. Like my wife, they pay for her master's.
Yep.
Right. But then they want to hold you hostage for a certain amount of
for like
time.
3-5 years, something like that.
Yep. Otherwise, if you leave, you got to pay us back. Right?
Yep.
So when you do it in professional development and it's incremental, it's cost effective for them. Right.
Yep.
So they're like, we're investing in him a little, you're investing in them a little, but they can't take the knowledge back from you. Right. So you just keep, move, use it and you're not paying for it. Yep. Another way is open education. And if you look at, they're called MOOCs, MOOCs. So if you look at MOOCs, and now what they're doing is you take the class for free. You can take it multiple times, but you pay for the credential, right? But you don't pay for the course. So you can learn it, and it's like, I don't need the course in this MOOC. You take those skills. But if you want to, then you pay like a $250 to complete it, right? Certificate of completion. So that's why I said you don't even need the certificates down. Like, it's like you have, and you can get it from MIT because MIT has one. Harvard has one, Brown, they offer these courses. So now you can say you go to MIT in communications, a certificate from MIT. They offer these. They offer these courses that you can learn.
And then you pay for the paper.
You pay for the, just like that's the same thing. It's college the same way.
College,
you pay for the pay for the ticket.
For that paper, but at least with this, it's like you can have the course for free.
Yeah, I took the class. I passed the class. If you want to get that credential,
you're just gonna have to pay the credential, right? So who knows? I might come back and get the credential later after making some money from using the skills. So I said, I just made the
exactly.
I'm gonna take the test.
Exactly.
But that's what micro credential is. It just gives you, and
that's the move.
You can take it in different orders. It's flexible. You know what I'm saying? When you want to take classes, because they got them at your own pace. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you're not structured within that semester. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I work and I'm too tired at night.
I burned through those things, man. I burned through them.
Really look at so Yes PVD and the Yes PVD Virtual Academy is looking at that. Is looking at identifying. And I'm not looking just for youth. It's youth because we service 13 to 24-year-olds. Right? We used to do 14 to 17, but now we're 13 to 24, and that's because my son was a coordinator for the summit for 2 years. And he's like, Dad, I was in college. They didn't offer, like they went to job fairs, right? We had job fairs in college. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking to the HR person. This dude's been working in this field for 30 years, and he's black, and he's from the neighborhood. I had no clue. So when I put college kids in, now they have a potential mentor, right? So they can be a TA, a teacher's assistant in the workshop, right? So now they're not too old for the youth. So the youth can, like the youth seeing me, well, you're 45. It's going to take me 25 before I have a house, 25 years, right? So they're still can't see it, but the college student just left them. So he might be 3-4 years away from school. So you can relate to him. Oh, how's school? I'm learning this class, and don't worry about this. You know what I'm saying? And then now they're talking to the practitioner, you know what I'm saying, helping them out. Oh, you did really well with, you know what I'm saying, instruction at school. You know your stuff. Talk to me about an internship. You know what I'm saying? Or if you're not hiring an intern, can I still stay in touch with you because I'm really interested in that field, right? But now you have someone that's culturally relevant because they look like you. Come to find out, it's like that you found out, dang, they grew up like the gentleman I have now, Wayne. He's on. If you go Local Proverb, they did an article on Wayne. Wayne went to classical, went to URITD, came back at his master's. He worked for PwC, right? And PwC is like one of the top financial firms in the country. Now he's director of finance at Madison Square Garden.
Oh, snap.
So and he's from.
He's gonna get me Knicks tickets. He's gonna get me Knicks tickets.
Listen, he does all the concerts, everything. So he's a director. Like, he's really heavy in finance, right? But he's
keep them Billy Joel tickets. I only want the Knicks.
So if you go to the page, he's on the page, and you'll see his resume. And it was like, Juan, how'd you guys? So that's the thing. People will know he came from here. He went through even came back and got his master's here. You know what I'm saying? But he's in a really prestigious position. But he was raised, and his education was done here, right? So that's kind of where I was happy. Then I got Dina Good. I don't know if you remember Dina. Dina You know,
Oh
she's a little older
yeah.
than you.
Oh no. Well,
So,
she's cousin. She's a cousin because that's my son's and daughter's mother's cousin.
yeah, I
But
feel
no, but
so.
we grew up in University Heights
Yeah,
together, anyways.
exactly. So Dina D was trouble. Dina was always in trouble.
Yeah, I
She
know.
ended up dropping out of school, right? Got her GED.
Mm.
She just got her doctorate,
Yep.
right? So she's
She's a
Dr. Good.
principal down in
Yep,
Jacksonville.
and she's been in school for 25 years.
Yes.
She's been in school, right?
Yep.
Wow.
So but she was part of Beat Down Posse, BDP back then. Like she was on, and so she's coming. So she's gonna be a keynote, right? So I just talked to her. I zoomed her the other day. So I'm gonna announce this week that she's the keynote, right? And she's gonna share her story.
Ah, family.
Because I have a felon, she's got a felon. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like we have hiccups and bumps in our roads, right? So but that doesn't define us. Like so that's even when I share that with people, they're like, you went to prison, J1? I said, yeah, it's almost 2 years. It just shocks people. That's why I said during the Black Rep, I was away. You know what I'm saying? When they were moving to Westminster Street.
Yeah, from
Washington
Washington to Westminster.
They're like, Warren got arrested. Oh, let's take him off the board. You know what I'm saying? So, and they put it there. And
he's not making this meeting.
He's not going to hear. So, and that's why I said I had forgave them when I came back with Sound Session because I loved what it was doing. You had all these cultures and classes and just and there's nothing like it. Not even PVD Fest. Everything's tried to be it.
PVD Fest lacks the soul.
PVD Fest is because it's First Works, right? And so First Works is about European arts. It's about a giant harp that you connect to the Superman building, and so it's all these. Did you see that? Y'all see that one year? It goes all the way out. I said someone's gonna get clotheslined and they're gonna sue everybody.
It was quite trash.
Yeah. So exactly. So you got it. So what was cool though, I'll give them credit, was the dudes dancing on the side of the building with the rope. With the lights. I'll give that. That was dope. And then the other Circus Soleil type thing.
Yeah. No, I worked the event and it just wasn't the same as Sound Session.
Exactly. So it's about visuals, right? It's not about the music and the culture. And that's kind of what's missing. And that's what Lizzie's trying to do when she brought in the communities to program their own stages. That was the flavor that Lizzie was trying to sprinkle on. That would be more Sound Session. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I try to get I try to get what's it who you just talking about? I really forgot his name. What's that DJ's name?
Oh, not Matic?
Yeah, the fat Trinidadian. That's what I call it.
Oh damn, how you gonna set me up like that? You set me up like that.
Like, nah, what up, Matic? But Matic and I
I
try to get Matic and Lefty to do like a Creole and a Trinidadian block party, which is also the origins of Sound Session.
Yeah.
So we were gonna do that. So I was gonna stop programming stages, you know what I'm saying, and do all that stuff. Like I really love PVD Fest, but I want to bring a segment even with the parade. You know what I'm saying? All this the stuff that was really solid for Sound Session, integrating it into PVD Fest. So
yeah, me and my father was dealing with Lizzie recently, and I'll leave it for my father to deal with her because that's more of his thing. You know, that's his thing.
Yeah, speaking of the music though, let's pivot, man. I know you're big in this music right now.
Yeah, because we go on. So we're in with this. So we have a new single.
Oh wait! Before you introduce it though,
I'm not gonna play it. I'm gonna tee it up. I'm gonna tee it up.
All right, but you in the music game, like, cause like you're close to people. You got a couple of hands, cause you're like an octopus. Like you're just like me. You're an octopus. You have your hands in everything.
It's always what was that? It was like jack of all trades, master of none. So now it's like I'm not a jack of all trades. I'm like a Wikipedia. So people be around me and I'll give this random, you know what I'm saying, knowledge, and it's like, Juan, you should do this. I said, no, I gave it to you to keep. You take that seed and grow it. Because as soon as you tell it and you're really elaborate about it, it's like, well, Juan, let's partner and do it. You know what I'm saying? They turn it into this big thing because it seemed like I was passionate. I said, no, I'm passionate about the knowledge, you know what I'm saying? Because I had the conversation and I, you know what I'm saying, retained it, but I'm not going to apply it.
Because even since like with the Black Rep, because even when they was on Washington Street, I was one of the coordinators for Round Midnight, and you was always on the scene around that time too. Didn't you? Were you the one that designed the one with the purple?
Yep.
That was
purple Round Midnight logo. Yeah, we were just talking about that too. And I did all the posters back then. The Huey P. Newton, the Monk and Bud. All the different productions. So I did the design back then. So doing music. So the first major artist, I was dealing with a ton of artists. With I got to shout out my my business partner and my brother and my cousin Khalid Mason. So
all right.
So Khalid and I, we actually started doing music when we were in high school, right? Like I wasn't as serious back then, but he was, and we ended up signing our first. I won't say he did signed his first major deal with Makita Metz, who happened to be in Osborne.
Yeah,
And
that's right.
he signed with Makita, and we used to go to New York, and we were at Track Masters. So we worked with Track Masters. Track Masters, we were at Jimmy Henchman. Jimmy Henchman's used to use his studio, and they was like, "Where's Jimmy Henchman?" I said, "That's the famous elevator where Tupac got shot." I was in that elevator. But so we used to go, and I'm like 14, 15 years old, and I worked with Mill from Groove Theory. She was her vocal coach at the time. Chubb Rock was there on a regular basis because this is around that time he was Chubb Rock was there, and so that's how I got introduced to music. Like, just my cousin was trying to do artist development, and I got just travel with him, right, and just meeting all these people. I met Mona Scott, who I say is the death of hip hop, with her reality show Love and Hip Hop. And then you had Violator. So when Violator first started, I was around Violator Records before. It wasn't even records. They were management.
Steve Lighty and them.
They tried records for a minute, and they said, "Oh, this is too much," and they went back into just management. So Chris Lighty. So I knew Chris
Lighty. Yep.
So God rest his soul too. So
rest in peace. Yeah.
So yeah, man. That's how I started. And fast forward now, we've met through multiple artists. From I had Antonio McClendon. We had No Means Yes, which is our pop group of multi-ethnical women. They performed that sound session one year.
Yeah.
I had Kai. We had Kai Holmes. We had a bunch of artists, and the artist we ended up with was Arab Music.
All right.
And Arab Music was introduced. I introduced him to Khalid years ago when he was first doing his finger drumming. I'm like, yo, you got to see this, the EDM, but we were talking about dubstep and all this stuff, and that was with Scion. And then Arab got shot here in Providence. And so how he met Lid as Muscle. So Knockout, Kari, DJ Knockout introduced him. So I'm going to give you somebody I'll introduce you to somebody that no one will mess with you anymore. So he introduced him to Lid. Lid's street cred obviously stopped all that stuff happening, but he found out we knew about music. And the rest is history with that. We started looking at his contract, you know what I'm saying? And Lid's going through that. He's like, Jay, this is the kid you told me about. And he's cool with Kari and Knockout. And yeah, he was part of Dipset. And then we came along. He was no longer part of Dipset. You know what I'm saying? So that was a battle. That's a whole nother story. And then we basically helped him create his own company. So he went from Dipset to Arab Music LLC. And so I'm an employee and part of his management team for Arab LLC, and I handle all brand development. So anything that has nothing to do with music and performance is mainly me. So our headphone company, the expansion packs with MPC and Akai. We got some other projects that we have a website. It's called licenselounge.com. So if you want to lease a Arab beat, go to licenselounge.com, and there's also other producers we work with. You can lease their beats. And so we have that. We launched that project. Yeah, man. So we've been working with him for a number of years.
But you have that MPC challenge thing going on, don't you?
Yep. So if you go, we also have MPC Fight Club. So,
Fight Club, that's what it is.
MPC Fight Club, if people go to mpcfightclub.com, I'm looking for producers, right? And so we're going to have this remix battle that we got coming up at the end of the month, a global producer battle. And right now I'm trying to lock it in because we're also teeing up the song. But I'm trying to lock it in where it's because Arab produced this song. Arab has been on fire this past during COVID. Between Cold Summer with Fabulous. So he produced that. That was the first single on his album. Just before that, he did Dave East's. He did 25% of Dave East's album that came out. That was mostly Arab. Especially, I like the one with Dave East and a tribute to The Marathon Continues. Really?
Oh, yeah.
This is where my age is kicking in, where I'm losing names.
You talking about Nip?
Yeah, Nipsey Hussle.
Yeah, Nipsey. Yeah. Nipsey.
So there's a track on there dedicated to Nipsey Hussle and Snoop's on it. A-Rap produced that one. And then there's the newest Locks one, Give It To Him. The Locks singer, that's out.
Oh yeah, that's the one I just heard the other day.
And then his latest one was the last verses with Rick Ross, The Home Pin to the Cross. That's also A-Rap. So all lead singles right now. I just can't give him credit for WAP, whatever it is, WAP.
Yeah,
because that came out the same night when Rick Ross's came out. They released that at midnight. But he's on Cardi B's album, so we'll talk about that. But that's he wasn't the lead single on that one. So yeah, so we produced that. But now we have Raish.
All right.
Raish is who we work with. She's they say R&B and urban, but she's more pop because to me she's a cross between Sade and the late Amy Winehouse. So she has that type of, you know what I'm saying,
she
that
does.
type of vibe, the way you mix it. She looks like Sade, the whole freckles in the face, and then her voice is raspy enough and soulful enough.
Yeah,
you know what I'm
it's
saying,
real.
as Amy Winehouse. And so yeah, we end up signing her, and that was another knockout. Knockout's like the beast A&R. Brought A-Rab and brought Raish to the team. And right now we finished her first album. We did a rendition album independently where it was like cover songs. And then we released an EP when we signed to Atlantic Records last year. So she has an EP that's out that's called Drive. And now we're releasing the new album, which is going to be called Loveland. And the first single is called Pick a Side. And that's the one I'm going to play for y'all real quick because I think they played on BRU today. Nice display there. I was listening to it through my Echo. But yeah, so we have a new single, and that single right now is what will probably be part of the contest. So we're gonna go give the stems all out to these producers, and then they do a remix. But it's not just a remix for fun. I want to make it take it up a notch by giving them a placement. So in other words, the winning song would actually get released. You know what I'm saying?
Nice.
So we'll release it as either a single or a part of his compilation, because his compilation is going to be hard too. We're going through the Davies tracks that he's got. We got some Tory Lanez, but I know Tory Lanez in hot water right now. Every time I mention Tory Lanez, people say, I say Tory Lanez, someone says R. Kelly. I said, they're not the same.
Nah, they're not the same.
No, but everyone's pissed with him, so it's, I'm not. I said, well, you're going to ban his music too? So it's getting to that point, right?
No, it just sounded like he had a Harlem Nights moment with Megan the Stallion and shot her in the pinky toe. That's it. That's all it sounded like.
I wish you would change her name, man. I wish you would change her name because the Stallion is a man horse. Is a male horse.
For real. Yo.
So it's the Texas thing.
But still, no. But like everybody knows, a Stallion is a male horse.
You know what's funny?
They gotta change that terminology, man.
Not the terminology. She a little big and little.
Oh, maybe you might be. You might be on to something.
She could grip a football, a male size football, an NFL size football.
I said, are you false advertising with that song? Because this is not right.
Oh shit!
It can't do all that. But anyways,
before we get to the song, J1, I just want to like the one piece of advice you give to young cats trying to come into the game.
Yep.
What's the advice that you would give to them?
So it's funny because someone recently texted me earlier, sent me some music because I constantly get singers in my inbox and everything else. Wow, I sing, and then I'm like, oh, that's cool. Will you work with her? No, and then I say no. They're like, well, that was harsh. I said no. Like I'm real when it comes to it. Like just because I said if someone doesn't tell you, they're not your friend. You know what I'm saying? I said like this,
sure.
They're pushing you on, and I'm like, so I'm honest. And I'm like, the person was not bad, you know what I'm saying, but just not where we're at, like where and it's not saying that it's an ego thing, it's a professional thing, right? It's like I've heard tons of people who sound like that. So it's like, I don't know what to do with it, but I don't discourage them, right? So I said, I'm not gonna sit there and so what I tell them is there's a market for everybody. If you can build a market, because it was like, Ron, I can sing, I can do this. I said, do you have a following? Well, that's what I'm trying to get. I said, you come see me when you have a following. Then if I have a following, I don't need you. I said, no, that's how it works. Right, so most of the labels look for something that they can polarize, right? They don't want to do artist development. We do artist development, but that takes time. So I don't have time to do it for 10 different artists, right? So what I do is I try to guide them. So the first thing is, well, I don't want them to get shafted. So I tell them, don't sign anything. I don't care how comfortable you are with somebody. You've been working with them for whatever. You don't sign shit, right? Without representation. And the reason why I say that, because we always hear the stories. Oh, I signed this. They own my masters, and I'm fighting to get my masters. You're talking about Kanye try to buy his masters, and they still won't sell them to you for them $9 million, and they told him no. But then you got Chris Brown who just bought his. Like Chris owns all his masters now. You know what I'm saying? So I
didn't know that Megan Thee Stallion was actually under contract with that baseball player. He used to play for the Dodgers. Ah man, I'm mad. Not Matt Kemp. It's the other one, the round-headed dude. I gotta look it up.
When you find it, put it in. But something. But those are the things that I tell them to watch out for, right? So the advice is don't sign nothing. I don't care I don't care if you're making music, you fall in love and he's your boyfriend, the producer, or I don't care. It's like that Bugs Bunny commercial when he walks in the store and they're like, "Oh, Bugs Bunny!" I said, "We still need to see 2 forms of ID." Right after they sat there, you know what I'm saying? It's like they're like, "What?" It's that type of situation where, and it's easier said than done because most young cats are they're starstruck, right? They're happy to, I'm going to work at a production company, they give me free studio time, and I'm like, and I don't even care if you don't have a deal working out, right? That's just for independent practice. Understanding to do your due diligence.
Carl Crawford is the baseball player's name. That's the one that she's like saying how she's in a bad contract with. Yeah. It's Carl Crawford is the one.
Listen, and you'll probably hear it with artists we know like this. It happens, but they'll do it in the beginning, right? But then when it's like they're popping, no, so I want to get out of this.
Yep.
Right. But even though it was a bad situation, it did put them in the position they're in. So there's like there's a compromise. But my thing is, and then don't be too stringent where you kill your opportunities, but you don't want to sign away like these 360 deals, right? Like we don't have that. We have a deal with Atlantic, but they don't own publishing. You know what I'm saying? Like Lid's been doing this for so long. Because what happens is sometimes people get in front of executives or we're at the label, you melt, right? You put down all your gods and it's like, I'm just happy to be here. Well, you know what I'm saying? You got the fruit over here, your lobster tails, this sign, right? And it's like, nah. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, nah, I said, we struggled to get here. We still struggle. You know what I'm saying? So, and my cousin is so comfortable and he's hard. Like, because I'm going to say this for the record. Sometimes they think he's Suge Knight. He's like Suge Knight up in his cat, but he just don't tolerate, right? So, so right from the rip, that's the advice I give someone. And then do it independently, right? I said, do it independently because you learn the business. You know what I'm saying? You'll learn if you're right for it, if you have the right talent, you know what I'm saying? Or if you're not. You know what I'm saying? It's like before you, but I always tell people because then when you come to the table, you have more skill set and more stuff behind you. You know what I'm saying? You're good. And like Soulja Boy, like I said, I can say I bring him here for the first time. Every time I say I went from Jay-Z to Soulja Boy. And, but I can't, but Soulja Boy made history. You know what I'm saying? As much as some of us didn't like him, Soulja Boy made history. He was one of those first hip hop artists to go viral with a dance. Was already independent with his ringtones. You know
ringtone.
Like his merch.
He was killing the
he had all that stuff before he signed, and he did it from like January to November. And I bring him here November 2007 to the Strand. That was the first show that 106 did since Buck left. You know what I'm saying? So we did that show, and I brought him here. He was a brat though. He wanted some sippy cups that was getting on my nerves. But he wanted some high C that we didn't carry, right? And that's a whole nother story too. But anyways, he came and he just signed it. He had just signed the Interscope. So we was his first concert, right? First concert here in Providence. And it was crazy. We had 900 and something kids, you know what I'm saying, that came to that show. And but his acceleration
was crazy.
You know what I'm saying? So it's exactly so that's that's why I tell people, like, I'm not just a fan and like promote, like I really look at business models. Like it's like this kid is killing them right now. Like no, he's killing them.
No, to that point, because I know we're probably gonna be running up on it a little bit here, but if you was to name 3 people to have on your say hip hop or your musical dream team, what type of people would you have? Like, would it be A&R? Would you have a marketing guy? Would you have just a good, solid no person, somebody to tell you no? Like if you was to name like 3 positions to have, like main positions, which would they be?
So I would say A&R is definitely a top one because A&Rs are what run the labels, especially if they get enough autonomy to do what they need to do.
And now, mind you, this is a newcomer. This is say like me or Daryl now trying to break into the game. It's like, all right, so this is me and my team.
Well, so most of the time, yeah. So if you're breaking into the game, and A&Rs, like I mentioned earlier, like Kyrie's our unofficial A&R. Like Kyrie's just because he's a DJ, he travels, you know what I'm saying? So he pulls it out. So someone that knows talent, and then that no person is the other person, right? Someone who knows talent, and the no person that's kind of me because it's like nah, that's not gonna work. Like because I do business development, right? So certain things the corporate's not gonna do, but Lid will push the envelope. But I don't ever deny it, right? Like I said, let's just really look at it because he has unorthodox ways of doing things, and some of the team members say that. But guess where we're at, right? So we're in a very good position with that not following the cookie cutter way of getting in the door, right?
All
But the
right.
no person is good because someone challenges you, you shopping each other. And it's not challenging you to hate on the situation. It's challenging you, let's really think this thoroughly through because we kind of did some stuff before a little too fast. You know what I'm saying? Now we know to slow down. So a no person is good. And a no person just to make you stop and think for a minute, right?
All right.
That's why with the tip that I gave you was look at your paperwork first. Like all that stuff I'm recording, you got some banging songs, like all that stuff you're in. That we need to look at this because that's where the money's at. The money's in the residuals. It's like the publishing, the technical license, like all that stuff. Because like now you're not making no money on performance. They're not touring, right? So we're trying to take the time to make music, right? Get that music out there. You know what I'm saying? And now it's an argument for artists to say we need some more money on streams. You know what I'm saying? Because there's no other revenue coming in. So even that model's changed. But those are the two. So that because you always got because if you got a yes person, a yes person will yes you to death all the way off the
right.
It's like they're not being. Yeah.
But one more person. You need a third person. Who would it be? Would it be like a ill groupie, like to keep you settled at night, or like a nice wifey type?
I'm good with those.
No, not you per se. I don't want to.
Trying to put me on the spot. I'm good.
Not you. Again, me or Daryl coming through, breaking into the game. Like,
hey man, I'm engaged, man. I don't need no groupies, dog.
Yes. For the record, I didn't say anything about groupies.
I'm just trying to give you options on that third.
Who's the only one that needs groupies, man?
No, I don't need no stinking groupies.
Obviously, they were top of the mind, right? But you don't need them, but they were top of the mind.
I'm just trying to give you a third person. I'm just trying to
let me distance myself from that.
Like a graphic designer, or
like I said, you have your A&R. Which could be like your DJ, someone got an ear for music, or producer. Then you have your no person, could be your business development, your manager, you know what I'm saying? Someone that really looks at things from a different perspective.
All right, so no person is like a manager. Okay.
Exactly. So that's kind of the no person, you know what I'm saying? Because they're looking at it from a business perspective versus the creative. Like I'm creative, but like I have a certain amount of discipline when it comes to that part. And now my cousins, he's well-rounded completely. Like he's even beyond me. Like I'm shocked when I sit down and talk with him. Like, yo, he ain't playing. Like, cause he's Jehovah, right? So I always explain to everybody. I said, like he knows the Jehovah, like his religion, he knows music. You know what I'm saying?
He
like
studies it.
It's been his life.
Yeah.
And he's learned same thing with me. We're out of high school. You know what I'm saying? And so, but a third person. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like because I'm giving you something that's been the two of us most of the time. It's been me and him, and we've had other people that are around, but being consistent. And we're just starting to grow as we build capacity. Like who are those important pieces we need? Oh, an attorney.
Yeah, we're gonna say let's not forget about the legal side.
So I'm sorry. So there's your three. So
and a lawyer,
your manager, your no person, and your attorney.
So when you roll through, you're rolling through like the four horsemen.
I'm talking about an attorney you have a vested interest in, not I'm the singer, and then the producer at the studio is like, oh, I got an attorney I can introduce you to.
Nah. Keep that greasy bastard onto the sidelines, man.
You find somebody that is totally independent. You know what I'm saying? And you're gonna go through them. You find someone that's there for you, representing for you, an attorney. So those would be the three. And it doesn't have to be a high end. You know what I'm saying? You want to get a well-connected attorney because that's kind of what maneuvers our business. Like these attorneys are like, we have an IP attorney. He's bananas, right? So yeah, it would definitely be an attorney.
It would have to be sports business entertainment attorney, not
because you're gonna have a school pretty soon. You see that, right? In New York. The Jay-Z's new school.
Yeah. Yep.
So,
I know KRS was talking about one forever.
Man, but KRS don't have Jay's money.
Exactly.
Of course. Hey, and we're definitely like we're tap dancing on it right now, so we're up against it. But I definitely want to. I know you was teeing up. I want
to definitely play that. Let me play that song for you.
All right.
Pull it up. Let me see.
There's the new race.
Yep. So I'm gonna play the new race for you.
All right. Exclusive.
Hopefully y'all can hear it because I'm not one. I was trying to play through Zoom. I don't know how it ends up. Here we go.
All right.
Let me know if you can hear
Either way, just send us the video, man. We'll just post it up.
Can you hear that at all?
Nah.
Not at all?
Nothing.
Yeah.
I had a little bit, but not enough.
I don't hear anything. Nope.
It might be a little distorted though. Anything?
Now it's coming through, but it's gone.
Distorted.
It was there and then it left.
Text from you came through on my phone. That took way too long. I was wondering, where did you go? I thought we were doing good. Hey, some days you call me up. We both get lost in nothing. Ooh, but sometimes you just get so cold. I'm sleeping with a stranger. I don't know what I'm dealing with. Mask off, real town shit. I never ever felt like this. Yeah, you know I want you. Oh, oh, oh. 1 minute you're up on me, then turn and leave me lonely. Don't know with you what I'm getting and make your actions match your words. One day you say you want me, I need you to pick a side. You better pick a side, yeah. Pick a side, you better pick a side, yeah.
Nice.
I like that. That's smooth.
Woo! Yeah, I might have to use that on one of my next podcasts, B. Like, I've been trying to find a song from her that I can use, and it fits into the groove of my narrative.
Yeah, so that's the first single. Tentatively, I think it's Friday the 28th. So we're talking about 2 weeks from now being
Tentative me?
Well, right now that's the date I have, but until it's out, you know, the label. But I think that's the date we settled on. So that Friday. But I did send it out to some DJs now. So I know Nice played it on BRU because he's doing R&B hour now on Saturdays from 1 to 2.
Okay.
Yeah, so he was on today, and then obviously the rest of the DJ I just sent it to Chubb, sent it to Buck, like in our reach within the region, and then they said they play, and then I'll get it. There's really no club DJs right now because
ain't no club.
So it's just hopefully they'll stream it. You know what I'm saying? And there was I'm gonna play. They're gonna cut my stream off. I say, you're gonna cut your stream off for anything. I'm trying to school them. This is another thing I'm trying to school them on. They need to use Mixcloud. Mixcloud is the only streaming service right now that has a deal with the publishers, right? So that you can actually play on the platform and not get muted. You know what I'm saying? Or not get cut off, right? It's a paid platform. You got to pay. You know what I'm saying? But it's minimum to have. You can launch your own station. You know what I'm saying?
Mixcloud is good.
Yeah, so right now they're the only one during COVID that worked out a deal with publishing. So because everyone would be mad, Fred's like, oh, they keep cutting me off. I said, yeah, because you're playing copyright music, and Facebook don't want to get sued. So they get sued, not you. They get sued. So yeah, I mean that's the single, and this is cool. I know we can go on forever, but this is cool, man.
Hey man, we appreciate you coming on and chopping it up with us. I mean, we basically got a whole show's worth of material, so when we air it. It ain't gonna be no. We ain't talking about shit else, and that's all. That's all we do.
Yeah, see, this is it's cool.
We had you on as a co-host this week. That's all that is. That episode, co-host episode.
Yeah, I stepped out for a second, so you stepped in my spot. You know what I mean?
Yes. Now we gotta go take a shit first. Then it's like,
oh, come on, man. Come on.
I'm following down, leader. I'm thinking of something to do on a regular basis here. Is that what he does?
This the first time he disappeared for so many minutes. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
so damn cherries that I've been eating, man.
You talking about cherry bombs and all the other stuff. As long as you wash your hands before you even virtually touch the screen, we're good.
Yeah. Nah, my computer messed up. It doesn't want to be touchscreen no more. It doesn't want to be touched.
This guy's like, he told you, your computer said, you better put a glove on.
Yeah.
He's like, you better get out of here. Your computer's like, you got COVID. Get out of here.
Yeah, hashtag not me. Hashtag not it.
Yeah, man. Hey, make sure everybody goes, checks out PVD.
Yes.
No matter where you're at, if you're in the youth demographic that fits, man, register, join us.
Mm-hmm. We'll be there.
Conversation podcast. We'll be there hosting, doing what we do, and of course, J1 the brand.
Oh yeah, we'll keep it clean-ish.
We need everybody got to sign a disclaimer for our shit, man. We're gonna keep it as clean as we can, but
we will.
That one comes hard with the dad joke, so we'll be good. Make sure you check out all the social medias. Hit us up on the YouTube channel. Check out the new Race single coming out. You said on the 28th.
Yeah, we're looking at August 28th, Friday, August 28th.
Friday, August 28th.
NPC Battles with
Fight Club.
A-Rab. NPC Fight Club
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
with A-Rab. Check it out, man. Get in there if you're a producer and you think you got some chops, man. Put your hat in the ring.
Hey, got to be in it to win it, man. Can't be on the sideline talking shit like, yo, I don't like that. I could do better shit. No. Get off the bench, man.
J1, thank you for coming in, man.
Yeah, man. True indeed, brother.
Go enjoy the rest of your Saturdays.
For sure.
Hey, I will.
All right, I'll talk to you. One.
We out.